The first thing Ava said when we landed in Santorini was, "This is going to be the best week of our lives." I believed every word. I had spent almost a year saving for that vacation, secretly selling my motorcycle, working weekend shifts, and skipping every luxury just so I could surprise her with a trip she'd always dreamed about. Watching her smile against the white buildings and endless blue sea made every sacrifice worth it. At least, that's what I thought. I had no idea that before the week ended, she'd betray me in a way I never imagined, and the ending would leave her speechless. The first 2 days were perfect. We explored hidden beaches, watched sunsets from cliffside restaurants, and laughed until midnight while wandering narrow streets filled with music and lights. She held my hand everywhere we went, posting photos with captions about finding her soulmate. Friends flooded the comments with heart emojis, calling us relationship goals. Looking back, those pictures almost make me laugh. It's amazing how convincing someone can be while quietly planning to destroy everything you built together. The signs were there, but love has a dangerous way of blinding you to the truth standing right in front of your face. Everything changed on the third afternoon at a luxury beach club. While I stood in line ordering drinks, Ava struck up a conversation with a tall, confident traveler named Liam. He claimed he was an entrepreneur from Australia who spent most of his life traveling the world. When I returned, they were already laughing like old friends. At first, I wasn't worried. My girlfriend had always been outgoing, and I trusted her completely. But over the next few hours, I noticed she paid more attention to him than to me. Every joke he made earned a louder laugh than anything I'd said all week. That evening, she insisted we all have dinner together. I agreed, telling myself I was overthinking everything. During dinner, Liam couldn't stop talking about luxury yachts, exclusive parties, and expensive adventures across Europe. Ava listened with sparkling eyes, hanging on to every word. She barely noticed when I tried joining the conversation. At one point, she interrupted me mid-sentence just to ask Liam another question. The sting was impossible to ignore. I told myself it was only vacation excitement. Deep down, though, something felt terribly wrong, like the peaceful ocean hiding a storm beneath its surface. The next morning, I woke up alone. Ava had left a short note on the hotel desk. When exploring with Liam, "Don't wait for me. We'll meet tonight." My stomach dropped instantly. We had planned that entire day together months earlier. I called her phone several times, but every call went straight to voicemail. Hours passed. I wandered through Santorini by myself, pretending to enjoy the scenery while my mind replayed every strange moment from the previous day. By sunset, she finally returned wearing a designer scarf I'd never seen before. When I asked where she'd gotten it, she smiled casually and said Liam had bought it because she admired it. That night turned into our first real argument. I told her it wasn't appropriate to disappear all day with a man she'd met less than 24 hours earlier. Instead of apologizing, she rolled her eyes. "You're acting insecure," she snapped. "Maybe if you weren't so controlling, I'd actually enjoy this vacation." Those words hit harder than any slap. Controlling? I had spent thousands making her dream come true, only to be treated like an inconvenience. Before I could answer, she grabbed her purse and stormed out of the hotel room, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. I expected an apology. Instead, I received a single message. "I'm staying with Liam tonight. Stop texting me. I need someone exciting in my life." I stared at the screen in complete disbelief. My hands shook so violently I nearly dropped the phone. Every memory we'd shared suddenly felt fake. Every promise she made sounded like a carefully rehearsed lie. But while she believed she had shattered me completely, she had absolutely no idea that fate was already moving behind the scenes. By sunrise, I would discover something that changed everything. And before her flight home, she would face a consequence she never saw coming. She never came back to our hotel room that night. I barely slept, replaying her message over and over while staring at the ceiling. Around 7 the next morning, my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Ava. It was an unknown number. "Is this Ethan?" A calm male voice asked when I answered. "My name is Daniel. I work with the resort's guest relations team." I believe we need to discuss someone named Liam. My pulse quickened. Daniel explained that Liam wasn't staying at the resort at all. Several hotels on the island had received complaints about him after women reported expensive belongings disappearing shortly after spending time with him. At first, I thought Daniel had mistaken Liam for someone else. Then he mentioned the exact designer scarf Ava had proudly shown me the night before. It wasn't a thoughtful gift. It had been purchased using a stolen credit card, according to hotel security. Liam had reportedly charmed tourists for years, convincing them he was a wealthy entrepreneur before manipulating them into paying for luxury meals, shopping trips, and even transferring money. Authorities had been gathering evidence but struggled because he constantly moved between countries. Suddenly, every expensive story Liam had told over dinner sounded rehearsed instead of impressive. I tried calling Ava immediately. No answer. I texted her everything Daniel had shared and begged her to leave Liam before it was too late. Nearly an hour later, she finally replied with only 5 words. "You're just jealous. Stop lying." That message hurt, but it also told me everything I needed to know. She had already chosen to believe a stranger over the man who had loved her for 4 years. I stopped texting after that. There was nothing left to say. Sometimes people have to walk directly into disaster before they're willing to recognize the warning signs. That afternoon, I checked out of our shared hotel room and moved to a smaller place overlooking the harbor. I refused to let my entire vacation be destroyed. I spent the next 2 days exploring ancient villages, sailing around the volcanic coastline, and meeting travelers from all over the world. For the first time in months, I felt strangely peaceful. Then, less than 24 hours before our scheduled flight home, my phone rang again. It was Ava. She wasn't crying quietly anymore. She was sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. "Please," she whispered, "I need your help." Between tears, the story finally came out. Liam had convinced her to leave most of her cash and passport inside his rental car while they visited a beach. When they returned, both the car and Liam were gone. Her suitcase had disappeared from the hotel room as well, because Liam had checked him into a different hotel using false information. Even worse, several unauthorized charges had already appeared on her bank account. The man she had abandoned me for hadn't fallen in love with her. He had simply seen an easy target. Every glamorous promise he made vanished the moment he had everything he wanted. I met her outside the local police station just before sunset. She looked nothing like the confident woman who had walked away from me days earlier. Her expensive vacation outfits were wrinkled. Her makeup had washed away with tears, and panic filled her eyes. "I'm so sorry," she kept repeating. "I made the biggest mistake of my life." I listened quietly while officers explained they were working with airport security because Liam was believed to be attempting to leave Greece under another identity. I helped translate paperwork, contacted our embassy about emergency travel documents, and made sure she had somewhere safe to stay for the night, but my heart had already moved on. The following morning we arrived at the airport together, not as a couple, but as 2 strangers finishing the same trip. Just before boarding, police officers rushed toward the departure gates. Minutes later, they escorted Liam through the terminal in handcuffs after matching him to multiple fraud investigations across Europe. Ava froze as he passed us. He never looked at her once. The fantasy she had chosen over loyalty ended in complete silence. She turned toward me with tears in her eyes and whispered, "Can we start over?" I gave her a calm smile, picked up my backpack, and replied, "Some vacations teach you where to travel. This one taught me who never deserved to travel beside me." Without another word, I walked onto the plane, leaving Betrayal and the person who chose it behind forever.